Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. Florida and Long Island, Saturday night. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL radio, as you will hear every Florida Gator football game this year in the city of Jacksonville. A lot of expectations for Billy Napier entering year number 4 and what should be a very tough but a very exciting Florida Gator football schedule. Let's talk to the man you will hear on the play-by-play call of Gator football this year. That is Sean Kelley, the voice of the Florida Gators, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Sean, happy football season to you, man. How are you?
Yeah, Ryan, happy New Year to you, too. It's always great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate the time, a busy week for you. And, boy, what an exciting offseason. Everything that transpired from the transfer portal to recruiting, spring ball into fall camp, and it finally kicks off on Saturday night.
Yeah, it really does. And for the first time in, like 4 or 5 years, you're not starting off the season with a ranked opponent. I think it's kind of a nice way to start the season. For those that don't know, Long Island was kind of a late replacement of the Gators schedule. Florida A&M University, originally a part of the 2025 schedule, backed out, and so they scrambled and got Long Island. So it'll be my first look ever at the Sharks, and the Gators will try and make it now, 5 wins in a row and get Billy Napier back above 500 overall and really try to just carry over the momentum that they found themselves enjoying at the end of last season.
Well, and you mentioned it right there, momentum. I mean, the Gator fan base over here in Jacksonville, I'm sure, as you know, as well as everywhere else, very excited with wins over LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State, and the bowl game to end the year. Billy Napier back for year number 4, well-deserving in my opinion, and that excitement from the end of last year has certainly resonated to the beginning of this season.
Yeah, it seems kind of difficult, right, that you can carry momentum over from December, but I guess you can in some respect. I think momentum gets trumped by the simple fact that this will be the most complete roster that Napier's had yet. I think, and again, my time with Florida matches up with Billy's time. So for the first time, I look at the Gators is now evening the playing field with regard to talent and depth amongst their SEC brethren. And I'm talking about the top tier teams. So now in a lot of ways, I think that the separator as it is amongst those, in the top 4, 5, 10 in the country is, a mental thing. It's the little things. It's executing on a week in and week out basis and then staying healthy too. So, for the first time, I kind of am enjoying camp and enjoying what's to come here, knowing that at least, the tools in the toolbox are kind of on the same plane as those they'll have to compete against in this rigorous schedule.
Sean Kelley is the voice of the Florida Gators. You will hear his call, Florida and Long Island, Saturday night. The game will be broadcast right here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Sean, you're obviously very close with Billy Napier. You work with him every day during the football season. I found myself happy for Billy to experience some success at the end of last year. I like Billy. I'm rooting for Billy, and it was happy to see it end the way it did last year, him come back for a 4th year with all these expectations.
Yeah, I like Billy too, and I like his process, and I want the best for him because the best for him is best for all of us Gators. So there's that, but I'm also really excited, or I was very happy to see the players do what they did last year. I think yes, Napier gets credit, but a lot of it had to be on the players in a lot of ways to turn that season around last year, and then to enjoy the work or the reward of the work of trying to get that done. And so that group that is a part of this year's team, has that on their resume, but B, mentally, as far as their ability to do that, to kind of change the course, or at least, get this program finally over a hump that, had been building and, they've been climbing for the first couple of years under Billy Napier. So there's a lot of that. One thing is very clear, whether it's last year's group or what I see now, they really like Billy Napier and they want to do right by him. And that's, that's a necessary ingredient to a successful team or program.
It's crazy to say this, Sean, but you might have to go back to the days of Tim Tebow to find a player that Gator Nation is as excited about coming into a year as DJ Lagway. And it's crazy to think that this time last year, Lagway wasn't even the starter, right? Graham Mertz was. Lagway got the ball middle of the year when Mertz got injured. We know Lagway has dealt with some health issues in his own right, some lower body issues as well as a shoulder issue, but it appears all is well now. And DJ Lagway, you talk about expectations, boy, there's a ton on that kid in his sophomore season.
Yeah, I mean, it's been that way since he's been a junior in high school in some regards. And I think that I loved the fact last year that it was Graham Mertz's team at the start of the season, and it did not have to be DJ Lagway's team to begin his college career. As you mentioned, obviously, there was a kind of a 2-quarterback system there for a bit, and then it was DJ's team, and he ends up going 6-1 as 6-1 as a starter, 6-0 in games that he was able to complete in its entirety. So not only did he get game experience, but he won. And with that, now the new expectations, right? And now it is his team. And maybe you're right in saying most excitement about a particular player since Tebow. Hard to gauge that. I mean, if we're being a little bit honest here, the Tebow thing was so outrageously how do I do this? Off the charts. Some of it's because he was a Florida guy, right? He was from your neck of the woods. And so, I think there's that. There was more Heisman talk around Tebow. That could grow with Lagway. We'll see. His health is a major storyline for this team. But it's clearly his now, and he is a leader, and he does have tremendous talent with a really high ceiling. And I'm really glad that he has been able to overcome a lot of the issues that he had, at the end of last season and then go into the offseason with regard to his physical well-being.
Couple more for Sean Kelley, the radio voice of the Florida Gators. You will hear his call Saturday night, Florida and Long Island. The game will be broadcast here on 1010XL Radio. Sean, it's not the sexiest thing to talk about when you talk about the lines of scrimmage on the O-line and the D-line, but Florida has 4 guys for sure, more than that, but certainly 4 that would be in the NFL right now had they decided to leave after last season. We talk about Austin Barber and Jake Slaughter on the O-line, Tyreek Sapp and Caleb Banks on the D-line. The fact that all 4 of those guys who would be playing on Sundays decided to come back has really strengthened the lines of scrimmage, and it might be, at least on the offensive line side, Sean, maybe the best O-line Florida's had in over a decade.
Yeah, it very well could be, and it's one of the best in the country, and it is sexy to me because it speaks to what I said earlier about, closing the talent and depth gap amongst the elite teams in the country. I mean, that offensive line it did a tremendous job last year, and to have most all of it intact coming back to this year is a huge deal. I mean, I don't want to see a Gators quarterback running for their life like I have at times over the last couple of years. And when you have the talent in the running back room behind that offensive line, they're going to be able to be balanced and do a lot of great things. I mean, that offensive line allowed just 20 sacks last year. That's 10th in the country. If they can even duplicate that or come close, you're in good shape. And not to mention the leadership that goes along with a guy like Barber, with a guy like Slaughter, who will be on Gator Talk this week with Billy Napier. So those are all big things. And then on the opposite side too, the story of Jamari Lyons coming back after the season-ending injury in camp last year. Banks not yet ready to go, but we'll be fine, here as we get into the meat of the schedule. And then those edge guys, because you mentioned Tyreek Sapp, but there's also this guy named George Gums, who's really solid off the edge as well. And a newcomer named Jaden Woods that's trying to turn some heads. And LJ McCray will be in the mix here eventually too. Up front, both sides of the football, Ryan, the Gators are in really good shape right now. And again, sometimes we get lost in the weeds about a lot of things regarding this game, but most of the time it comes down to protecting the quarterback and affecting the other team's quarterback. And I think Florida's in the best shape they've been now in several years in those categories.
Sean, as we begin to wrap up, let's talk about the talent around DJ Lagway. We all know about Jaden Ball, big things expected out of that young man. There's a couple of other running backs, including Jackson, that I'm pretty high on. And then you look at the wide receiver room, a healthy Trey Wilson, Sturdivant, the transfer from UCLA, and a number of young guys looking to make an impact. It does appear Florida has a lot at the skill positions as well.
Depth everywhere. You're right. And Jaden Ball has looked tremendous this camp, and now heading into week one. I think he's clearly the number one back, but we know that Billy Napier loves kind of using multiple backs, and there you go. There's Jacoby Jackson, the young man that you mentioned. He's in that mix. Katie Daniels is in a battle right now for kind of the third running back spot. But when you have a battle going on for that spot and you're set for your first two, I think that's a very good sign. And then, you mentioned Trey Wilson finally being back. It's hard for me to remember the last time I think that he was an impact player for Florida. If I'm not wrong, Ryan, I think it was the Kentucky game last year, and we really haven't gotten a whole lot of Trey Wilson since. So, but you get J. Michael Sturdivant, who I think is going to have a monster year, and you combine him with these young, talented guys. Vernell Brown the third, Nashawn Montgomery is very much in the mix. Dallas Wilson will be when he comes back from his current injury. There are other guys turning heads too, and you have some depth as well with a guy like Aiden Mizell who can still take the top off with his speed. There's a lot of good going on, and I don't want to glance away from tight end depth as well. That's something that was a Billy Napier thing when he was at Louisiana. He hasn't really had the tools to utilize it at Florida, but Hayden Hansen and Livingston and Amir Jackson all are in that mix too. Look, Lagway does not have to win games all by himself, and that's a very good thing. I think Florida's going to score, as they did down the stretch during that 4-game winning streak.
Sean, tell the Gator fans over here in Jacksonville what they can look forward to on the broadcast this season on the Gator Radio Network.
Yeah, usually we're on the network at 3 hours prior to kickoff, which means Saturday it's 4 o'clock with a kickoff at 7. And, the great Shane Matthews and Tate Casey are back with me during the game. Jeff Cardozo and Tate will be on that pregame show. And we also add Kevin Winter, who comes to us from ESPN Radio National, to be a part of our coverage this year as well. So we're looking forward to it. We'll do our best to hopefully convey a lot of great Gators moments starting this fall and of course, on 1010XL in Jacksonville all season long.
Sean Kelley, the play-by-play voice of the Florida Gators. You will hear his call Saturday night as the Gators kick off 2025 against Long Island University. Sean, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon, pal.
All right, Ryan, take care. Happy new football season to everybody.
Hacker here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video on the 1010XL Gator channel. Be sure and like, subscribe, and keep it locked right here on all the 1010XL YouTube channels on the 1010XL YouTube network.